Recording in progress.
Good afternoon. So this is the learning lab schedule for the day 2. This session will be conducted by YMA University of Sri Lanka, the research team. The theme or the topic is qualitative data handling in nutrition research. However, we mainly focus on certain methods of qualitative data analysis or the qualitative data collection and analysis, mainly on the focus group discussions. Because of the time limitation, within 75 minutes, we will try to do the maximum to give you an overview about the qualitative data focus group discussions. We have a team members. I will take the initial session for about 10 minutes, and then thereafter other members will take over and explain you various aspects of focus group discussions, and finally the data analysis, just an overview of one sort of analysis, and also we will discuss some problems, the field problems, the actual problems we face and somebody can face, and also the answers for them, some of the solutions. So at the end, we will have a quick Q&A session, so you may ask some questions if you have, the online audience as well as the audience here in this hall. So rather than using the stage, I would prefer to talk from the floor, so then we can have better connection. As I told you that this is the qualitative data handling in the nutrition research, and particularly focusing on focus group discussions. So the name focus group discussions itself implies that we focus on a particular problem in these discussions. What we expect in this short, very brief learning lab or the workshop or the session, we would like you to give you understanding of the fundamentals of the focus group discussions. So you will be able to define what is a focus group discussion. I hope that some of you have already done these things, or you heard about this, and there are some undergraduate students as well as the postgraduate students sitting here, as well as some other scientists from different countries. So you should be able to identify the key characteristics of a focus group discussion and its participants, and different focus group discussions. What's the difference between the focus group discussions with other qualitative research? There are so many qualitative research methods. Some of those things were explained or not explained, but you saw in the morning session, the first session, some researchers use some of those the qualitative methods, but this is another qualitative method. Then another speaker of my team will explain or give you some hints about the skills for effective moderation. So you will understand what is a moderation. And then finally, there will be a very brief session on analyzing and interpreting the focus group discussion data. So that's the outline. Let's move on to this overview and applications of focus group discussions. So what is a focus group discussion? Very briefly, it's a qualitative research method. Qualitative and quantitative methods, most of the researchers prefer to use quantitative methods, because then you can quantify the problem or the solution, whatever the data, and then you can use the statistics to analyze this data. So that's very popular among scientists, especially among the biological scientists. But the social research, and also in certain nutrition-related research, you cannot get all information quantitatively. So you need to get more information or the in-depth information in certain situations. Then you need to use different methods. Actually, these are used by the social scientists and now widely used by the nutrition scientists as well. So the purpose is to tell you some points regarding this qualitative research method, focus group discussions. Another important feature of focus group discussion is it involves a group discussion. Simply, it's a group discussion led by a trained moderator. So it's a one-to-one, not one-to-one, but a group and a person having a discussion, a lengthy discussion. It lasts for about 60 minutes or sometimes 45 minutes to 60 minutes, and occasionally it may go up to 90 minutes, but not more than 90 minutes usually. So we focus on specific topics or issues. So that's why we call it focus group discussion. And the moderator encourages interactive discussion and diverse perspectives. So this is not yes, no answer. We ask some open-ended questions, and we want to get more broader answers from the respondents, and respondents are sitting as group. So by definition, the focus group discussion is an interactive discussion between 6 to 8 pre-selected participants. There's no sample size calculation. Pre-selected participants led by a trained moderator and focusing on a specific set of issues. The aim of focus group discussion is to gain broad range of views on the research topic that you have, and over 60 to 90 minute period, and create an environment which is conducive or which will facilitate the participants, or they feel comfortable to express their views. So that's very important. What is the type of environment that you are going to have in conducting focus group discussions? So there are unique features of focus group discussions, interactive discussions, generating unique insight of a particular issue. For example, these days our research group's main concern is, why don't people eat fruits and vegetables? So we want to get information from adolescents, we want to get information from parents, we want to get information from various segments of people. So diverse viewpoints of the participants. Some might say that it's because of the safety, etc., etc. And very importantly, the moderator facilitates the breadth and the depth of the responses. There are different types of focus group discussions. Usually we do it face-to-face, but it can be done using telephone or online. And also it's a mixed method application. Mixed method means you can use qualitative data collection as well along with quantitative data. So surveys and these together would be the best. There are various types of research focus group discussions. I am not going to explain all these things. Academic focus group discussions. Here we mainly focus on generating scientific data. That is what all of us would be doing or have to do. But there are market focus group discussions which are done by specific market research organizations. They want to know, for example, the client's view about a particular product before launching or before producing a particular product. And public and non-profit focus group discussions are usually done by the NGOs or the community service organizations to design, improve, or evaluate a public service. For example, if you are going to plan some health services or nutrition services or something, then before that you can have this kind of focus group discussions with a group or groups. There are participatory focus group discussions that involves community members in the research. And so, for example, if you are going to implement or plan a new program or already conducted the program and you want to get the feedback from the beneficiaries or the participants, you can have the participatory focus group discussions. All have similar features as well. Right. So when you should not do focus group discussions, when you want to get individual ideas of the people, you should not do focus group discussions. It's not ideal, because you cannot ask questions pointing someone and say that you tell me your opinion, you tell me your opinion in front of others. It won't happen. It shouldn't be done. And also the individual narratives from each participants, you should not do that, because this is it takes a lot of time. If you want to interview someone, then you need to do in-depth interviews, not focus group discussions. Focus group discussions and in-depth interviews are different, and also not suitable for sensitive issues like the mental illnesses, sexual behavior, illicit drugs, etc. And not very much suitable for reaching consensus on the research issues, and also when you are dealing with some confrontational issues like maybe political views and kind of things, you should not have the focus group discussions. They may fight with each other. Focus group discussions and in-depth interviews are different. Broad perspectives, group interactions you can get if you do the focus group discussion, but if you want to do a lot of information from one person, then you need to do the in-depth interviews. So in the next 1 hour's time, my team members will explain you more about the focus group discussions. And before that, to wind up this brief introductory session, I want to show you the strengths and weaknesses. The strengths are you can get large data volume, lot of interactions, very effective for community studies. And the weaknesses are less control over discussion. Sometimes some people may dominate. Potential dominance by some participants, and also non-confidential because the things are shared by many people. There are advantages: reflect the real world social interactions, generate diverse, rich data efficiently, and flexible for different research purposes. You can further extend this, the information that you gathered for the further research. So there are a lot of challenges. My team members will explain you how to face the challenges. Summary, what I told you, the focus group discussions are very versatile and impactful qualitative research method and require careful planning. So the next presenter, Dr. Lanka will explain you step by step how to plan a focus group discussion and how to conduct focus group discussion. And effective, if you do it effective way, you can or you can obtain or explore diverse perspective of the people in the community on a particular topic. So thank you very much, and I would like to ask Dr. Lanka to take over and continue the session. We'll be talking about the planning and conducting focus group discussion.
Thank you. Good afternoon to you all. So mainly I'm going to focus my discussions about planning and implementation steps in focus group discussions. So then these are the objectives of this session and the rest of the sessions. So we hope that you will able to get understanding about planning and implementation steps of focus group discussions, and there should be some set of skills that we have to develop when we conduct focus group discussion. So we hope that you will get understanding about that. And also, finally, you will be able to demonstrate some basic steps in data analysis using NVivo software. So let's move to focus group discussions. So it's simply a discussions. So as Professor Renuka mentioned, we have to have discussions with group of people. So we can go for maybe 8 to 12 participants in a group, but ideally it might be 6 to 8. But depending on your objectives, depending on the nature of participants, we can go for 10, 12. So somehow it might be in between 6 to 12 participants. And when you select participants for your focus group discussion, you can think of different socio-economic status of them. It means you have to get the representative of different socio-economic status, so you have to purposely select the individuals. And important thing is that there is a moderator. So this moderator is the person who asks the question. And importantly, that person should initiate the discussion among the members of the group. It is a kind of an stimulation for participants to give different type of answers. Therefore, it is a must that you have to create discussions among the group members. So it is one of the skills that moderator has to develop. So you will, we will have another session to talk about different skills that you have to have. And there is another character in focus group discussions, note taker. There might be 2 note takers or maybe 1 note taker. So that person has to write all the things what participants are telling. So moderator asks questions one by one, and then note taker has to write answers given by the participants using point form. So it's ideal that if we can give numbers to participants, either we can ask participants to hang that number here in the garment, or maybe we can place the numbers in front of the table if there are tables. So then it is easy for note taker to identify the participants using that number. Then we can mention the number 1, these are the things mentioned using point form. Number 2 participant, these are the things mentioned. So either that person can use particular template, I will show it in the next slide, or else, so in addition to this main moderator, there might be another note taker who handle a flip chart. So we can hang a flip chart nearby the group discussion, and person who write in the flip chart can write the question in large letter, using large letters, and then the same person can write what participants are telling using point form. So then it's easy for participants to keep in mind, this is the question asked, and these are the answers given by other members. So then I can say this kind of answer. Likewise, it's a kind of a stimulation for the participants if we write the things using a flip chart. Another important thing is that we have to mention non-verbal expressions as well. Not only the things that told by the participants, but you have to think of their non-verbal expressions. So sometimes they might say that, they might show that there are disagreements by shaking their heads like that. Or maybe they accept some of the factors told by telling by other members of the participants, shaking heads like that. So then they have to write those information as well. Even silence, loud speaking, laughter, everything they have to write down. The moderator, note taker has to write down. So this is one of the format that we can use in yes, it's there, yes. Yeah. So then we can use this kind of a template to write the factors. So you can have a number of participants in one column, and then there is another column so that note taker can write down what participants have told using point form, and there is another column to write non-verbal expressions. Another important thing is that you have to record the sessions. For that, you have to have recorders, audio recorders, and it's ideal if you can video record the session as well, but you have to get the approval, consent from the participants, because we need it during the data analysis process. Therefore, it is essential that you have to record the session, because note taker write down just point form. So you have to record the session so that we have to, it is a facilitate for us to analyze the data. Regarding seating arrangements, so you can see in this diagram, so U-shape seating arrangement should be there. So participants in the group can see each other if they sit like that. Same as, similarly, they can see the moderator. So both sides should be there. The participants should see each other as well as the moderator. Therefore, ideal seating arrangements might be U-shaped seating arrangement. So then we were talking about questions. We were talking that moderator is asking questions. So which questions we have to ask? Actually, it is the most difficult part in focus group discussions. We have to carefully plan, we have to carefully decide which kind of questions we have to ask. So before conducting focus group discussions, we have to develop focus group discussion guide. So it is a set of questions. Usually we say that it's 10 to 12 questions. Ideally, that can last for 1 hour, but it's depend on your objectives. Either you can go for 20 questions, depending on your objectives and even depending on the nature of the people. So then, the important thing is that when you develop this focus group discussion guide, you have to follow a particular framework, particular theory that already published, already identified. Or else you have to develop a framework using some of the information that are already published. So it is not an easy task. You have to have several discussions, and then finally you have to select some key questions. So I will explain how we have to prepare focus group discussion guide using this example. So here you can see one of the conceptual framework. You saw this in one of the presentations in the morning. So suppose that our objective is to understand the barriers of fruits and vegetable consumption. Barriers of fruits and vegetable consumption. Our objective is to understand the barriers. So then we have to understand that which kind of drivers are there to associate with persons' fruits and vegetable consumption. So this is such conceptual framework which is published by Storytel. So according to this diagram, you can see that the person's fruits and vegetable consumption is associated with individual factors, social factors, physical environmental factors, and macro system factors. So then these are the key themes, key areas that you have to consider in your questions. So you can formulate some questions so that you gather or cover information from each of these. And so these are the main 4 themes. But in addition to these 4 themes, there are some sub-themes. So let's take one example, individual factors. So under individual factors, there are some other factors. Time, knowledge, beliefs, attitudes. So then you have to add some questions so that you grab the information from these areas. Let's take another example, social factors, family, culture, religion. So such areas are also come under social factors. Then you have to add some questions so that you cover those areas. So then sometimes you might need to omit some of the areas, maybe depending on your objectives, depending on the nature of the people, you might not need to think about all these 4 domains. Somehow, before you prepare focus group discussion guide, you have to understand that which themes and sub-themes you have to use. So according to this diagram, our main themes are these 4 factors, and then you can think of some other factors that I explained earlier. So then, actually you have to have several discussions among the members of your research group. So you have to have several discussions. Maybe you have to have some multidisciplinary group. And you have to do pre-testing, you have to add questions, you have to omit questions. Likewise, you have to do it for several times. It is the most difficult part and most key part of the focus group discussions. If you have not developed your questions correctly, all the data is not valid. Therefore, it is important that you have to follow the correct framework and correct questions. Another important thing is that you have to think of probing questions. So probing questions are the sub-questions that help participants to give answer for the asked question. So I will explain it using an example. Somehow, when you ask question, sometimes participants may not think of an answer. So then when you ask probing question, they can think of different answers. So probing questions also should be formulated very carefully so that participants can easily think of different answers. And typically we say that the time taken for a focus group discussion is about 1 hour, but there are some focus group discussions that you can go for 1.5 hours, 2 hours, but again it's depend on the nature of the people. If people are happy to give answer for more than 1 hour, 1.5 hours, then it's okay. And if you have more objectives, then sometimes you might have to go for more time. Okay, now I'm going to take another example of focus group discussion guide. So in addition to the questions, as an initial part, there should be an introduction. So first you have to welcome your participants. Now participants are sitting around. You have to go there. You means moderator. And you have to welcome them. And importantly, you have to say, you have to tell who you are, where you're from, what is the objective of this study, what we expect from you. Actually, what we expect is just giving frank answers for the asked questions. And therefore, it is important that you have to mention that there are no correct or wrong answers. What we need is just your opinion, your views, nothing else. So you have to emphasize that. And also you have to mention that the recorder is there. And if you are video record, you have to get their permission. Therefore, you have to say that the recorder is there because we may not be able to write down everything. Later, we have to use this information. Therefore, we have to record it. And also, you have to think about the confidentiality. You have to mention that you are not publish this information with their names. So then, these are some of the examples. So there should be an opening question. So this is the question that actually kind of ice-breaking question. So it might not directly related to your objective. The purpose of this question is just to stimulate participants to give answers for the rest of the questions. And then there might be key questions. So you can start with the broad question, and then you have to narrow down your questions until you reach to your main focus. So our example is to identify the barriers of fruits and vegetable consumption. So then first question is, why do you include fruits and vegetable in your diet? So then you can see that we have asked a probing question. Here we ask, what do you think, what will happen if you are not eating enough fruits and vegetables? So then they will give answers thinking of non-communicable diseases, deficiencies, growth. So it is help them to give answers for the asked question. It is help to explain the questions if you use probing questions. And second question, you can see that what influences the choice of fruits and vegetable consumption. So we have narrowed down little bit. One step has gone, and then people might say different answers. You can see the probing questions here. How do your friends influence fruits and vegetable consumption? Because we know that friends, family are some of the factors affecting. Therefore, until we get answers for those areas, we can ask some probing questions. And here I have put 9th question before the last. So you can think of different steps of narrow down your focus group discussion. So here we have asked what are the barriers that you face in consumption of fruits and vegetables. So there you have to use more time because that is the most key point of our focus group discussion. And also ending questions also should be there, which is a kind of a summary of the focus group discussion. So in this diagram, you can see how focus group discussions are conducted. You can see that the moderator is there, 2 note takers are there, and students, the children are sitting in U-shaped seating arrangements. And this is some of the planning steps of focus group discussions. So first you have to understand what is your objective of the study. Then you have to select who will be your respondent, whether adolescent girls, women, men, likewise, which kind of respondents are there. And then you have to get the approval from the authorities, and especially you have to get the ethical approval from the ethical approval bodies, because you are dealing with normal general people. And you have to develop focus group discussion guide as we discussed, and you have to select note taker and moderator. We have to train them. Same time that we have to pre-test your focus group discussion guide. So sometimes you might have to do some alterations to the focus group discussion guide. And then you have to select specific participants. It means if our respondents are adolescents, you have to select 8 to 10 participants for your focus group discussions. And importantly, you have to get their consent, because you are record the sessions mentioning this all, you have to get the signature from the participants. You have to select a place. So it is also very important that if you are selecting adolescents in a school, then you have to select a place that they are not faced to their principal or class teacher, because they will feel uncomfortable if we have such place. So place is also very important. So finally, you have to think about data managing. So once you finish your focus group discussion, you have to think about transcription and translation. So transcription is the step that you are writing everything. So in the note-taking process, you have write down some information using key terms, but here you have to write everything using whole sentences. You have to listen to the recorder, and then you have to write everything what participants have told. And even you have to mention non-verbal expressions as well in that transcription process. The translation is the process that we translate the information into English. Now, in transcription process, we used the language that we used to conduct focus group discussion. And in translation, you have to translate all the information into English, because we have to feed it into NVivo software. So one of our colleagues will explain how we have to deal with this translated information. So finally, data quality, how we have to manage the quality of the data. So already some of the points we talked. So you have to think about appropriate environment. There should be easily accessible place, comfortable, no any extra members. And moderator should be skilled enough. So we will have separate sessions to talk about it. And careful data handling, transcription, translation should be done very accurately, because it will affect your data analysis. And then supervision, it's ideal if there are supervisors, if there is a supervisor to supervise all focus group discussions, because there should be similarity, there should be consistency in conducting focus group discussions, and so also that person has to check whether the recorder is working properly, and also that person has to check whether moderator is asked all questions without omitting. So that's all about my presentation. So then we will talk about different skills that you have to develop in conducting focus group discussions. For that, I invite Dr. Tushanti Pereira. Over to you, Tushanti.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. So we will be taking from the theories, and then, the concept and how to create a focus group guide. And then I'm going to talk about, the sort of the skill sets that you need to have in terms of when you are conducting a focus group discussion. So just to give you a brief overview as to what we are doing here in this particular session is that I will be basically explaining what sort of key characteristics a moderator should actually possess. and then to identify some concepts in moderating discussions, as well as to finally to familiarize with some scenarios so that you can actually put this into practice. So I would sort of ask a question before I begin this session. So what makes you, if you are doing this, what makes you an effective moderator? So based on what you have sort of gathered so far, anyone would like to take a stab at this question? Like, what do you think would make you a good moderator? Anyone? Very quickly, whatever that comes to your mind. Very good. So what she said was that the moderator should be patient enough to sort of gather all the answers or the discussion points from the group that you are moderating. Very good. I think as a starting point, this is a very good skill. So because we don't have a lot of time, I am not going to spend too much time asking the audience to get into answering to this particular question, but I would summarize, like, if you are a good moderator, you have to have a set of skills. But if I am to summarize, like give you like a snapshot of skills that you should possess, so you definitely need to have a skill to manage a group discussion, right? Because you will be handling 8 to 10 individuals coming from various backgrounds, probably, there might be individuals who might be keen to talk. There might be individuals who are not very keen on talking. So you need to balance all these dynamics, right? And very important that you use the focus group guide. You get sort of familiarized with that very carefully, because you cannot skip or omit or add new questions to the already developed guide. Now, Dr. Tilanka has very clearly stated that it is quite important that you have a focus group guide to follow. So it is very important that you use predetermined questions to guide your focus group discussion. If not, whatever the information that you are getting, you might not be able to sort of analyze and put into your framework, conceptual framework that you have already developed at the beginning of your study. And it is very important for an effective moderator to sort of create a safe environment where all the members would feel that they are included in the discussion, right? Because you have to treat them equally, and you need to make sure that, let them know that this is an environment that they can freely speak. Because we are collecting people's perceptions, attitudes, experiences, their opinions. So sometimes, and again, there's no wrong or right answer to this. So it is very important that you establish that as a moderator very early on. So these are kind of like very key characteristics. If you are planning to do a focus group discussion right now or in the future, or if you are interested in focus group discussions, this is something that you should think about. Now, I will just list down a set of moderator skills that are quite important. So I'm not going to sort of read this out one by one, but I would give you a sort of a summary. So it's important that, as I said, you to really think about who you are going to talk to, what is your audience, what kind of a research question that you are exploring, and also to know very well about the particular topic that you are researching. And it is important that you sort of have a skill. It's not exactly a skill, but you should be good enough to create conversations, right? You can't be silent as a moderator in the group. So you have to sort of start small talk. You need to come up with a good, effective introduction. You need to sort of look into each and every participant who is in the focus group discussion and to sort of read them. You should be able to sort of read their verbal responses as well as non-verbal responses. And it is up to you to sort of control the timing. Very important, because we are inviting people to come to this discussion. We might not have a lot of time to go through so many topics, or we might not have time to spend on each and every individual, allowing them to just talk non-stop. So you will really need to use subtle group dynamic control, like, poses and, probes, and make sure that you are really collecting what you need to collect. So these are, some common skills as a moderator that you should sort of inculcate if this is something that you are planning to do. So how does this really work? I figured out one of the best things that you can do is if you put yourself in the moderator's shoes, like what you are going to do from the beginning of the focus group discussion, in the middle, and at the end. So if you think through this, it will help you sort of make yourself an effective moderator. So I'm going to walk you through this process because I thought this might be quite interesting, and also it will really help you to, get these points into your mind very clearly. So obviously, what you should do before you begin the focus group discussion. Again, very important, you have to know your focus group discussion. So if this is your research, you will definitely be involved in creating the focus group discussion. So I would assume that you would know the focus group discussion well. But if you're hiring someone to do the discussion for you, you will need to really sit down with this person and make sure that they know the focus group discussion guide well. So try to get to know your audience early on if there is a chance, or even right before the discussion, maybe talk to them, get to know where they are from, their names, because building initial rapport is very important because you are going to spend a lot of time with these individuals. Check your venue before you start the focus group discussion. Now, Dr. Lanka has showed you what is the arrangement should be. So, better if you have a chance to go and check the venue the previous day or sometime before the focus group discussion, because, logistics are very important. Participants have to be sitting conveniently, so there has to be minimum distractions. And this might be very, not something that, we might need to emphasize too much, but, that during the time of the interview, it is better to wear something comfortable, yet professional, because you are talking to a group of individuals who are coming from different backgrounds, experiences. Just check if you have everything with you, your focus group discussion guide, a printed form, maybe notebooks, your recorders, any notes that you think are important. So this will help you not to get too stressed or tensed or anxious just before you start the focus group discussion. Now there are a couple of more points what you should do during the focus group discussion. Before you start, you should greet, smile, slowly get yourself ready because you are going to discuss this, an important topic or a variety of topics with different types of individuals. Introduce yourself, your team, where you are from, talk to them about the ethical considerations that you have taken ethical clearance, ask them if they are comfortable if you record this. These are important because you don't want to go into the middle of the discussion and someone just, contradicting that they don't want this conversation to be recorded. Set the ground rules, tell them the time, how this flows, tell them there are no right or wrong answers, make them comfortable. Check make sure that you are sort of going through the nonverbal cues of the participants. Double check if everything, everything you need is there, everything is functioning. Clearly establish, how the time and, the questions would flow. And also just connect with the note taker because the note taker will be taking notes, so you have to sort of in sync with them. So pausing and probing will help you sort of, tease out the important aspects during the focus group discussion. And before ending, you can take a few minutes to sum up, thank the participants. If there are any incentives or refreshments available, let the participants enjoy. So we touched base a little bit with the note taker as well. Now, note taker and moderator are a team. Very important that they go hand in hand. So the note taker will basically taking notes and, sort of facilitating the note taking, facilitating the moderator to help the discussion to flow. But the note taker will basically take a passive role and will not interfere with the discussion. So we previously saw a template that was developed to take notes, so it's better if you can follow that. So listening skills, quick thinking, recording down notes, legible writing, very important, because after that you need to sort of transcribe and translate this information. Again, it is important that you be an active listener during the whole period of the focus group discussion as a moderator, because you need to sort of understand the tone of voice, body language, expressions of your participants. Now, I understand we are taking just 75 minutes to sort of, give you a kind of a very rapid introduction to focus group discussions and how to be a good moderator. But you will definitely need a lot of practice and skill development before you really get into the business and go to the, the ground level to do these discussions. So it is quite important that you start thinking about these, points that I have showed you. I wanted to just tell you that here, this corner, there is a good resource that I have included. Now, our slides will be available to you, so please check that out. It is a very good piece of reading for beginners who want to do focus group discussions. Now, I will take my last minute to talk through some scenarios. So since we don't have a lot of time, I would just give you a sort of a summary as to what would happen if you run into these. Now, some of these will be sort of explained in our next session as well. So you would definitely run into scenarios where participants would not talk. In such scenarios, it would be okay to take a pause and let them slowly get into talking. Sometimes participants might be tired, annoyed, they might walk away. So in such scenarios, it is best as the moderator go and talk to them as to what is happening. If they don't want to stay in the focus group discussion, you can let them go, because we take consent from all the participants and it is voluntary to participate in the discussion. Sensitive questions, we might not run into many sensitive questions in the field of nutrition, but if you're asking a question like, have you eaten over the past day, or whether you felt like you are running out of food in the household, these type of questions may create illicit sort of a sensitive response. So at those times, you can be a little empathetic, and you can, just talk with the participant and ease their stress or anxious status and let them, maybe join to the discussion. Sometimes participants may be talking too much, or maybe, might not talk at all. So if you have ramblers, those who talk dominantly, so you need to sort of let them know, others will also need to get a chance to speak up, because this is a group discussion and everyone has a chance to speak up. So these are some of the scenarios that you might run into, but there might be many more, but with the time limitation, we won't have a lot of time to talk through them. So final notes, we already discussed these. So I would just tell, be professional, be polite, yet firm, use probing when necessary, keep a neutral stance, and you are the one who's navigating this, so you have all the power to sort of, control and make sure that the focus group discussion will flow flawlessly. So then I'm going to hand over the microphone to Hasara to talk about data analysis in focus group discussions. So she will be explaining you through the basic steps that you need to do for the data analysis. So thank you, everyone.
So now let's go through the data analysis process. So first of all, I wanted to emphasize that this is not the comprehensive data analysis. This is just the basic data analysis. So keep that in mind. So as Dr. Tilanka mentioned that to start your focus group discussions, first what you need to do is create your focus group discussion guide. And for that, you have to develop a framework. So according to your framework, you are going to develop your focus group discussion guide questions. So for the data analysis, you are going to use this framework as well. So first of all, let's go through these steps of data analysis, the thematic data analysis, and then we will go through each of every steps in the next slides. So first, as the first step, what you have to do is you have to define your framework. That means using your framework, you have to identify your themes or codes. I'll use these both words, themes, codes, so those are the same. So first you have to develop your code book using your framework, and then you have to set your project in the NVivo. That means you have to import your data and gather, organize that data in the NVivo software. And next you have to create your codes using that code book in the NVivo, and you have to code the data as the fourth step. And as the fifth, you have to review and refine your themes, your codes, and as the last step, you have to interpret your data. So let's go through the step by step. So first step is defining your framework. So I used the same framework mentioned by Dr. Tilanka. So here you have 4 factors affecting for the fruit and vegetable consumption basically. Individual factors, social, physical, and macrosystem environmental factors. So if you use this framework, then you can use this to generate your code book. I mean, your major themes, major codes to these factors. So if you use this one, then you have 4 themes as individual factors, social environmental factors, physical environmental factors, and macrosystem. So you have 4 themes. If you have any sub categories, like as for the example, for the individual factors, if you have preferences, habits, time, likewise, then you can create sub-themes as well. So for this example, I'll go through this basic main themes. So once you have developed your code book, next you have to do is set up your project in the NVivo. So for that, you can see in the screen, first you have to generate a project for your data, and next you have to import your translated documents. That means if you have conducted 6 focus group discussions, then you have 6 scripts for that 6 focus group discussions. So first you have to import those Word files into the NVivo to your project. So in the corner, you can see once you have import the files, you can see that in the NVivo. And next, you can go through each script using the NVivo software, so to get an idea about what is there. So you can first review your data. So as the third step, you have to create your codes in the NVivo. So that means you are going to use your code book you already predefined, and you have to create those codes in the NVivo software. I mean, you can use the same codes or themes to generate your codes in the NVivo. So as an example, you can see in your left, you have individual factors, macro system factors, physical environmental factors, and social environmental factors as your framework. Once you have created your codes, then you have to, okay, so these are the slides. This slide shows you, okay, once you have once you have created your codes, next you have to code your data in the NVivo. For that, what you have to do is you have to open your scripts one by one, go through the script, and highlighted the code or the sentence which go to the relevant code. That means, so in this slide, in this example, I have highlighted the reference code go to the individual factors, which coded into the individual factors. So in the next slide also, you can see the process. Likewise, you have to go to the, first you have to open your script one by one, go to the each of sentence and code them into the predefined codes. Okay, so as an example, I have coded this sentence that we work according to the health promotion circular issued by the government. So I have coded that into the macro environmental factors because it's talking about the policy. Here it shows what I have done. So in the left corner, you can see under the macro environment, there is one reference. That means I have included one quote into the macro environmental factors. Okay, once you have done this, finally you can see the files you used to code your data. So in this example, I have used only one file, and for the individual factors, I have used two references. That means two codes are there under individual factors, and for the macro environmental factors, there are 6 codes. Likewise, you can see what you have done. Okay. So then you can review and refine themes in the NVivo. That means you can go to each of every theme you have coded, and you can open this code and you can review what you have coded into that each theme. So as an example, I have opened my macro environmental factor code. So there I have 6 references, and in the next panel you can see what I have already coded into the macro environmental factors. So as the final step, what you have to do is interpret your data. So once you have finished your coding process, you can see your code book in the NVivo. You can export it as an Excel, or you can visualize your data. So in this example, I have showed the code book as an Excel sheet. So here you have the main themes, sub-themes, and number of files you have used, and also the references. That means how many codes you have quoted under each theme. So here is an illustration of the same, I mean the themes and sub-themes. So you can see here under each theme there are sub-themes. As an example, theme policies and programs related to nutrition. There are 2 sub-themes, health promotion committee and school meal programs. And finally, you can get a word cloud as a visual representation of your data. So that means in this word cloud, you can see what are the words respondent repeatedly mentioned. That means majority talked about the garden, children, school, parents. Likewise, you can get the visual interpretation of the data set. So that's all about the basics of NVivo analysis. And now Madhusha and Ishani will explain more about practical scenarios and problems encountered during conducting focus group discussions.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Madhusha and this is Ishani from YB University of Sri Lanka. Hope now you have a clear understanding about how we conduct the focus group discussions and analyze the collected data. So, building on that, let's look at the real life challenges that we encountered during the focus group discussions and how we tackle these challenges. Ishani, can you remember the most common challenge that we faced when we conducting the focus group discussions with school students?
Yes, Madhusha. The most common one we face during the discussion with adolescents is non-responsive participants.
Yes, exactly. Non-responsive participants were the common problem that we faced when we conducting several focus group discussions with school students. Ishani, what do you think about the possible reasons for their silence?
The major one, actually, they were shy to share their experience in front of others, especially in front of their friends. On the other hand, some participants are not interested about our discussion topic. That's the thing.
So we use few strategies to overcome that challenge. One is we take them to the outside of the classroom. Then they feel like comfortable and encourage them to talk about the discussion points. In addition to that, we paid our attention individually for them by calling their names. Also, we remind them that there is no right or wrong answers. All opinions are welcome. Also, before we move into a main topic, we ask a simple open-ended question like, what is your favorite snack from the school canteen? This made the discussion less formal and encouraged the student to talk with us. So, slides are not moving. So, this is another problem that we encountered during the focus group discussions. Ishani, can you explain a little bit about the problem?
Yes, when conducting discussion with male adult participants, irrelevant responses are the major challenge we face. There was more tendency to deviate from the questions and discuss about their personal problems related to current economic situations and the village level problems like things. At that point, it was really challengeable because we have limited time to collect our data focusing on our study, but we cannot just ignore their opinions because these are related to their day-to-day life. This was a real challengeable moment, I think.
In that point, how did you bring them back to the topic?
At that moment, our moderator asked them politely by using the phrases like, let's focus on this question for now, and we will come back later, that point that you discussed, we will come back to that point. That's how we redirect the discussion to keep on our track. I think this is more useful when conducting the focus group discussion.
So let's move to the next challenge we faced during the focus group discussions with the women in the Ridhigama area in Sri Lanka.
Yes, most of women talk simultaneously. We inform them in the introductions about our rules not to talk simultaneously. But during the discussion time, they talk simultaneously. At that time, moderator remind them to talk at once. One person talk at once and others to hear the person talk.
That means the dominant participants were there. So we are running out of time, I think. So let's conclude this discussion. If you have any questions regarding the practical aspects related to focus group discussions, you can contact us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. I think we are about to wrap up this session. So we can take a couple of questions. We can entertain a few questions because we have few minutes remaining. So our team is here. We would be happy to, get back to you in terms of if you have any questions. So please, raise your hands if you have any questions. We will pass along a microphone. Or I think the one mic is there. If you want to just go speak there, that would be fine. I know we have a lot of undergraduate and postgraduate students here who will be interested in doing focus group discussion. So if you have any questions, this is the time. And also you can scan, I think, our QR code. Some of our materials will be there for later reference if you would like to take a look at the topics that we covered today. Any questions from the audience about focus group discussions? Oh, we have one from Shihari.
Good evening, everyone. I actually have two questions. I think it would be better if you can enlighten us on how to select the participants, especially if we are conducting a focus group discussion based on the community. We cannot just pick the individuals, I guess. Maybe we have some sort of criteria when selecting the participants for the focus group discussions. And my second question is about the NVivo software. Now, we record and translate almost everything, almost every response from the focus group discussion. So I think as Ms. Hasara explained, she explained that we should highlight certain sentences. So I just want to know whether that means we cannot feed everything to NVivo. I think we have to extract some sentences and feed to NVivo software. Am I right?
For your first question in terms of selecting participants, so I will take a stab at it and then I will maybe hand over to Dr. Tilanka if she has anything further to add. So it's better to have a sort of a idea about who you are going to interview. Usually you know your research question and you have your topic and then you develop it based on your guide. So therefore, you will need to have a set of criteria. And we usually, for focus group discussions, we want to use the maximum variation sampling. So that means we are trying to get people who are reflective of diverse backgrounds so that would enrich our discussion. So any other points, Dr. Tilanka, you would like to sort of share with us?
I think you ask how specific individuals are selected from whole community, is that? Yes, now say, for example, if we want to select adolescents, we might reach to schools. And then we have to select most talkative people. So then class teacher, principal know who might be more talkative, more forward, and little more intelligence than other students. So we have to pick purposely depending on that kind of matters, because we need answers. They should talk. So then we have to select most talkative people. So if it is from adults in a community, we have to contact Grama Niladhari. Grama Niladhari knows that who will be ideal to give such kind of answers. Yes.
So regarding the NVivo software data analysis, so what you have to do is, as an example, so first you are opening your first script, that means script for first focus group discussion. So you go through each of the sentences one by one, and if the first sentences is about preference, so you highlight it and drag and drop into the individual factors. Then if your second sentence is about another factor, maybe macro system, then you are again highlighting it and then drag and drop into the macro system. So likewise, you have to go through each of every sentence and code them into the NVivo. Thank you.
a quick answer, another addition to the question. When you are selecting the participants, you have to make sure that there's no vast difference between the participants. For example, in certain areas there can be caste differences or the socio-economic differences. You should not have, say, rich people and so that you have to consider the social hierarchy. So you should not have a mixed group of people in one particular focus group, and then one particular group should represent ideally the people with similarities. Otherwise, some people may dominate and some people may not tell the truth, the real opinion in front of the others. There are a lot of other the tips, but we just give you a brief thing.
We have about 2 minutes remaining before we break for the final event for today. So we have a question. Yes, please.
Yeah, so my question is, in focus group discussions, like whether it's academic talk or the community-based NGO talks or something, so that the language, because with my experience in we just take like example like Sri Lanka, so we have 3 main languages. So most of the academic talks in English, but the participants are well expertise to speak out in their mother language, because once they express their words in their mother language only, they will come up with the accuracy and the precision of the data is delivered. So that is a huge problem. Even the simultaneous interpretation is the currently using option. So even we have tried with that, but we can't rely on that, because I'm talking something, sometimes we have to additionally do the QA for the interpretation as well. So with your, even the professor and more experienced people are in this expert panel. So with your experience, I definitely strongly believe that you also come across with these challenges. So what are the steps we can overcome with these real-time challenges? Because speaking and language what we have to express. So mother tongue will give us more, what can I say, more emotions and deep into that subject. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So very true. I think all these, focus group discussions that we did them according to the language that the participants were using. So if it is a Sinhala speaking community, the interview guide was translated to Sinhala. Whether it is a Tamil speaking community, it was translated to Tamil. And we wanted to in Tamil speaking communities, sometimes they use different dialects. So you need to sort of, incorporate that into your question guide when you are asking questions. So that is why it is important to sort of train the moderator to use the language very well, because sometimes there are little cues that you need to incorporate. And also by pre-testing the guide that you have created, because sometimes when we get together as researchers, we are often referring to the theories and concepts, and sometimes we might get lost in the textbook version of definitions. So you really need to think about how the guide would work within the community or the intended participants. So if you do a pre-test, couple of pre-tests with different groups that you want to sort of get the information, you will realize that how well they sort of understand the questions, whether they can sort of give a relevant answer to the question. So those things you can note down, and you can sort of revisit your questions one more time and really, make it tailor-made to the exact, community or the individuals that you are trying to reach out to. So any other comments from the team? Okay, so that's all for today from our qualitative lab. So I hope you had a sort of a basic exposure to how to do a focus group discussion specifically. So because we are running out of time, we are going to wrap up the Learning Lab now. Thank you very much for all your participation. I hope you would enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Silva and the entire Wayamba University team for the amazing Learning Lab. We have around 10 minutes for a short bio break if you guys want. If you don't, please keep sitting here. We'll just wait for the participants from the other two Learning Labs to join us. And we will start the next session, which is a very interesting and exciting session, and which generally doesn't happen a lot in nutrition research conferences. So we have a session called Breaking Norms for Better Nutrition, and we will be starting that session at 4:30 p.m. sharp. So if you guys need a short break, please take that. Otherwise, just be seated, and we'll wait for the other participants to join in.